Hi everyone, my name is Anastasia. I'm happy to see you here on my channel, and in today's video I'll be reviewing the Urban Decay Naked Cyber eyeshadow palette. I just got this in the mail recently and I tried it today for the first time, and I can't wait to share my first impressions with you. I'll show you all the swatches, a couple of eyeshadow looks, and ultimately I hope that this video will help you decide whether you should buy this palette for yourself. So let's start off with unboxing and the swatches of this palette, and you'll see that it's absolutely gorgeous. The palette comes in this box. It's got all the colors listed on the back, and once you take out the palette you see this fantastic neon multi-chrome pattern that resembles a circuit board, and here are all the colors that you will find inside. They are primarily shimmers and glitters and they look so beautiful. The palette comes with a double-sided brush. One side is a packing and detailing brush and the other side is a fluffy blending brush. And here's another closer look at all the shades. They're primarily warm peachy colors. The first color, called AI, is a cream satin. It matches my skin tone and is a base or a blending shade. Metadata is a champagne shimmer, pretty standard color for all over the lid. Virtual is a peach matte. It could be used for blending or for the crease. Electrode is a pretty peach shimmer. Cyberspace is a duochrome, shifting from peach to mint, but overall almost blends with my skin tone. Gadget is a peachy pink matte, another nice color for blending. Call AT is a beautiful pink shimmer, one of my favorite colors in this palette. Not a Bot is warm silver metallic, nice shade for a highlight or middle of the lid. Static is a blue iridescent silver glitter, it looks so pretty for a highlight. Y3K is a duochrome, shifting from brick red to icy blue, it's a very interesting shade. Override is a red glitter topper, looks pretty as well. Bite is a warm red matte, it's the only color that I don't really like in this palette. Here are all the swatches together, and here's a closer look, and I'm moving my arm so you can see the duochrome shifts and glitter from different angles. And here's a comparison of swatches to colors in the pans. When I was getting ready today to film this video, of course I had to do my eye makeup with this palette, so I filmed everything and I'm going to show you step by step which shades I used and how I achieved this eye look. First I take Gadget and I'm blending that out in the crease. Then I take the duochrome Cyberspace and I'm packing that in the inner and outer corners of my lid. Then I take Call AT and placing that in the middle of my lid. It's pretty sheer but still adds some sparkle. Then I take Override and I tried putting that in the outer corner, but it didn't do much and ended up being a lot more sheer than the swatch. Then I took Gadget again to blend out the edges. Then I took the glitter shade Static and used it to highlight my inner corner. And again the duochrome Cyberspace to smudge across my lower lash line. I didn't want winged eyeliner with this look, so I just packed some gel eyeliner into my lash line and applied some mascara. And here's my final look. If you look closely, there's a lot of glitter fallout under my eye, and it's hard to tell that I applied so many different shades because it's just a glittery peachy look. It's very pretty but definitely not as vivid as the finger swatches. The duochrome is more noticeable in real life, but definitely very wearable for every day. Before buying this palette, I watched a lot of reviews and swatches from other bloggers, and one of the criticisms that I kept hearing over and over is that people found that this palette is too neutral, like they thought the colors are not vivid enough. And to address this criticism, I think people are forgetting the name of this palette and the original purpose of this line, because think back to when the first Naked palette came out. The purpose of this palette was to provide a range of everyday neutral colors that people could just use for natural everyday makeup, and this was also true for the second Naked palette, which I don't have, as well as the third one, which as you can see has pretty neutral colors as well. After that, Urban Decay started getting more adventurous with this line. They started adding more vivid color themes like the Violet palette, which I didn't get because I don't really like purple eyeshadows, but I got the Naked Cherry, which as you can see is pretty bright. So with this new palette, it's understandable that some people had the expectation that it's going to offer more bright and vivid colors, especially because the cyber theme implies like bright neon metallic shades that are really dramatic and can give you a very interesting makeup look. But this palette ended up being a lot more nude, and that's why a lot of people were disappointed. But I'm totally fine with that because I think this palette is perfect for an everyday makeup look when you don't want to go towards the regular browns and pinks and you want to be a little more adventurous with your shimmers, but still it works really well for a natural look that you can even wear to office and not feel like your eye makeup is too dramatic and too out of place. Another thing I noticed when I got this palette palette and I saw it in real life is that a lot of the colors are actually darker than what you see online, because everyone has a different camera, uses different lighting. Some people are editing their photos, and in a lot of the online photos of this palette, the colors look a lot more pastel. But when you see these colors in real life, they're actually darker and a little bit more vivid than what you see in these photos. But the issue is that these vivid colors don't look as vivid on your eye when you actually apply them with a brush, because the color payoff is not great with this palette. And I think the reason for that is because a lot of these glitter and shimmer shades are meant to be applied on a sticky base for glitter eyeshadows, and if you use a regular eyeshadow base, they may not have the best color payoff. Another tip from Urban Decay was to use this palette with a wet brush, especially for some of these shimmers and duochromes. So they're suggesting you spray your brush with a little bit of a makeup setting spray or just some water, and that way the color payoff will be stronger and these glitters will stick better to your eyelid. So for the look that I did today, I just went straight into this palette. I did not use a glitter base, I just used the regular eyeshadow primer, and I also didn't wet my brush, which is why I feel like I didn't get the most out of this palette. And for the next time, I'm going to try applying these techniques, and I'm going to show you that makeup look later in this video. Another issue that I noticed with this palette is that the glitters and shimmers have quite a lot of fallout. For example, when I was using this static shade to highlight my inner corner, the glitter ended up falling all over my face. I had it on my hands, I had it in my eyebrows. I don't know how it got everywhere, but it did, and it's definitely not an ideal situation. But to me personally, fallout is not that big of a deal, because usually I do my eye makeup first and then I clean up any fallout, apply my foundation, and the final look doesn't have any fallout, so I don't care about the fallout with this palette. But I know a lot of people will find it annoying, especially if you did your entire face makeup and then you have it all covered in glitter from your eyeshadow, and there isn't really a good way to remove it. Another criticism that many people have for this palette is that there are not enough darker shades to deepen the crease or the outer corner, except for this bite shade, which I personally don't really like because it's a weird red brick color. But I think that's intentional, and it's kind of the point of this palette. Like, it's encouraging you to be more creative with your eye makeup and not just do the same traditional thing every time, where you put the dark matte in the crease and the lightest shimmer in the middle of your lid and just do the exact same look just with different colors. You may miss those deeper shades if you're used to doing your eye makeup a certain way, but I think it's also fun to experiment with these colors and see what kinds of looks you can do without having those deeper shades. I've also heard people say that this palette is not very unique because it has some shades that are similar to shades that can be found in other Urban Decay Naked palettes, and I see a few shades here that are similar to my Naked Cherry palette, but still I don't feel like this is bad value to buy this palette if you already have Naked Cherry, for example, because it still has mostly unique and interesting shades that I don't have in any of my other palettes. And while reviewing this palette, I can't really assume that everyone else already has similar eyeshadows in their collection. This is really going to be something that you have to personally decide for yourself, whether this palette is unique enough for you to buy, because for someone it may be their first eyeshadow palette, but for someone else it may be like the 30th one in their collection. So it's going to be different for everyone. For my second attempt with Naked Cyber, I started with no face makeup and I applied a sticky glitter base instead of regular eyeshadow primer. Then I sprayed my brush with some water so it can pick up more pigment, and I'm going into the Y3K duochrome and packing that onto the outer side of my lid. And now this looks a lot better than my first try. This is a lot more like the finger swatch. I'm dipping the same brush into static and packing that onto the inner half of the lid, and this is just so gorgeous. There's still some fallout, but it's a lot better because the glitter is actually sticking to my lid. Next, I'm going into AI with the blending brush and softening the edges, but the two glitters already blended together beautifully. Next, I'm taking Bite and applying that onto the outer corner and then blending it out for a smooth transition. Then I take Virtual with the blending brush and blend that into the crease. Then I'm using my wet brush to pick up Not a Bot and packing that beautiful glitter into the middle of the lid and the inner half. Here's a closer look at the fallout. There's still quite a bit. Next, I'm using liquid eyeliner to add a little wing, and here's how I remove fallout. I just take a piece of tape and all the glitter sticks to it very easily. It's super quick and takes care of most of the fallout. After I applied all of my makeup, I went back into Not a Bot to highlight my inner corner. And I also took Call It and smudged it across the lower lash line. Here's the final look. There's still a bit of fallout, but overall it's gorgeous, and I love how all the colors work together. You can definitely see the duochrome shift and the intense glitter. It looks a bit more uniform on camera, but in real life you can see the glitter change color in different lighting. but it's still a very neutral everyday look, and I paired it with a bright lip to add a pop of color. So at the end of the day, I think you should consider buying this palette if you're looking for an everyday neutral palette that you can wear anywhere, but with colors that are a little bit out of the box and primarily shimmers. If you're looking for vivid neons, duochromes, and colors that you can wear for a creative, dramatic look, this palette is not for you. Also, if glitter fallout during application is a problem for you and you don't want to deal with having to wet your brush or using a special glitter base, then you may find this palette very annoying to use. I don't think this palette is a must-have by any means, but I think it's a good one to have in your collection if you don't mind the price, because you can make a lot of eye makeup looks with this palette, and you can also use any of these glitters and shimmers to add a pop of highlight to other makeup looks that you make with other palettes. I think for me this palette was a good investment. I'm excited to continue playing with it and trying new looks, and I hope for you this video was helpful in terms of deciding whether you want to buy this palette or not. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to support me with your likes. Check out other videos on my channel, follow my Instagram, follow my YouTube, and I'll see you in my next video.